Hello, everyone. I'm Allison, and welcome to my weekly Meltdowns coverage of Sequester Season 3. We're winding down our coverage. We're finally getting to interview some of the final five from the final five. Boy, that was some hard-hitting investigative journalism. Right there. We're going to bring on Dustyn in a few minutes. With me, as always, is Tyler and Deb. Welcome back. And Beth will be with us shortly. How's everyone?
Doing good, doing pretty good. It was 55 degrees in New York today. So anybody saying climate change is not a thing, look at the temperature this winter is all I have to say.
Well, it was a little, it's been hot here.
67 degrees here.
That's crazy.
But it's going to storm and the temperatures are going to fall and I'm going to get sick.
Yeah. Just trying to get through the last of my work before Taiwan and everything. So if I get the coronavirus over there, it's been nice knowing all of you guys.
Oh, God, it's not that bad. There's such hype over that. You're not going to.
I know. No, I totally agree. But my phone has been ringing off the hook from my mother being like, Tyler, you need to change your flight. You can't go over there. And I'm like, Mom, it's fine.
I thought your mother was from Maryland.
Oh, we're originally from Georgia. So she was born and raised there, so she has a thick Southern accent.
Okay,
I did not get that.
That's enough of the Tyler's corner. Okay, so let's bring in Dustyn. Dustyn, welcome to my weekly Meltdown. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's been a minute since the show filmed, but it's still new. It's still in the vein. Is it safe to say?
Oh yeah, no, I was just thinking about that the other day. It's almost been close to half a year. I mean, it's been 4 months since we left, and that's just crazy to think about.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah, I bet rewatching all of this, it kind of feels like yesterday to you guys, seeing it all back and everything like that. But I'm glad that you're here to talk to us. I would say out of the remaining people left, I was really crossing my fingers we would get you out of everybody, just because I think you had quite frankly, the most to talk about and the most to ask questions about. And I think you played this game very, very well, Dustyn. So I'm happy to have you here. Happy to talk all things Sequester with you. And my first question, I think everybody wants to know, why did you vote for Jessica in the end? Why were you the lone soldier rooting for her at the end there?
That's what everyone says a lot, that this is the main question. Because I remember once the show was over, we did get to see the votes, and I remember production telling me, they're like, oh yeah, it was 8-1. And I'm like, that's impossible, because I voted Jess. And they're like, oh no, that's exactly it.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, geez. Mainly out of that, I just thought that Jess had a better game, especially when there's the one time I think it aired where I'm talking to her and she's like, I'm trying to get her to vote for Jayla. And she's like, I can't vote for Jayla because Jayla's been with me since the very beginning. And so I just can't do that. And I was like, you know what, mad respect for that. I get that you can't do that.
Is it maybe because you worked more with her than you did with him?
I'd say we worked about the same together. I didn't work with either of them very much at all. I just saw that Hunter was also chatting with a lot of people all the time. So I kind of took whatever he said with a grain of salt, because I was like, what is he telling other people that he's not telling us? Whereas Jess was so loyal, especially saying that when she was like, I won't vote for Jayla, that I was like, okay, well, this girl's definitely straight up being honest about stuff, whereas I have no idea what Hunter's saying to absolutely anybody.
Definitely. Do you think that she lost some votes at the final two? Do you think that's kind of what happened there?
With her speeches?
Yeah.
I do. To be completely honest, going into the final two, I had a feeling that Hunter might win just because Jess had good points and everything. If you listen to her argument and everything, they were good points. Not great at articulating them. It was very fast. Her speech was so quick and so you had to slow it down just to be able to get everything, because once she had made a point, she was already moving on to the next one. And I was like, right when I saw her speeding up through that speech, I was like, oh shit, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think her biggest problem was fixating on trying to convince people that she wasn't a floater, and that was her whole mantra, that I'm not a floater, and that's not what you want to say for a finale speech.
Yeah.
Well, Dustyn, what didn't you like about Hunter's game that turned you off from voting for him?
I have a whole long list if you don't, Dustyn, so go ahead.
No, it was a big thing that actually I thought influenced my vote. There was, it seemed to be a lot of play. It was something that I didn't really enjoy, but it seemed to be a lot of playing out of fear. It seemed to be a lot of fear playing, like every single vote, even when it was with people that he had, it was always voting for somebody else so that he couldn't get picked for battle or anything. So he's throwing like his word and his alliances under the bus by voting for just somebody random and throwing his vote away every time, which I'm like, this is
smart.
It is. I mean, it is smart. Like, it does work clearly. But I just saw it as a lot more fear playing instead of like strategy playing. I mean, fear is still a strategy though. So, but that was the big thing that influenced a lot of what I was thinking about there. It was just fear play.
Yeah. Now, I listened to Taryn and Brent's coverage of the finale, and Brent was equally as passionate as I was. Of course, a little more well-spoken than I always seem to be. But Brent said that like the jury made its mind up. There was nothing Jessica could have done. There was no way they were voting for her in the final two, no matter what she said. Do you agree with that? And could you kind of speak for the people in the jury with that?
I mean, of course, like, jury's going to be speaking and everything before we go into that finale. Like, before we went into the finale, we were all locked in like a garage, and people were speaking. They're like, who do we want to represent us as our winner of our season? And just trying to talk about that. Because I did see, Brent being like, that's something I didn't enjoy. Because I believe it was Erica's speech at the finale that was like, we've all talked about who we want to see do this. And I'm like, why don't we all just pick who we think we want to win? Why are any of us talking about this?
Type of thing?
Yeah, why am I still smoking my vape? Can I please get a cigarette? Like, it was all just.
Do you think that they picked Hunter more? They picked him because he was more of the face that people would want to represent Sequester season 3 over Jessica?
Like how so? Like.
Because, they're like, who do we want to represent our season as the winner? Do you think that, well, because Hunter was so out there and just a hurricane or whatever they called him, do you think that's one reason why they kind of went his way over Jess? Maybe they're like, well, we'd rather people, when they look back at our season, think of him other than Jessica.
Possibly. Like, again, I can't really say anything too much about what anybody else was thinking. Like, I thought it was going to be pretty split down the middle between Jess and Hunter. When I was sitting there listening to the speeches and everything, the questions were going out there. I thought it was going to be pretty split down the middle. So I'm not even 100% sure what anybody else was thinking. Whether it was like, hey, we want this to be the face of our season. It definitely surprised me, the end result of like just how not that Hunter won surprised me. It was just how split the vote was.
Yeah. From my perspective of it, Dustyn, as a viewer, I think that Hunter's game was a lot louder than Jessica's was, because it had to be, because of the messes that he got himself in. So there was a lot more visibility to his game. So it's easier for Hunter to go in there and say, I'm going to own my shit. I was a villain. But he really didn't have a lot of control over the game like he thought that he did. Whereas Jessica, like, she's very quiet. She had a very impressive first half of the game in particular. And I don't think that she kind of harped on that enough, is where I think she could have done a little bit better. But I mean, people in the chat are like blowing up right now. Brent is very passionate right now. Do you think that there's anybody that could have beat Hunter out of that final four? So like if it was Jayla or Zach instead?
Mm-mm.
I think Dustyn would have beat Hunter hands down.
I think
That's
so.
my
Oh,
opinion.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
for sure.
I agree with
That's
that.
why I didn't even include a Dustyn in that, because that's like not even a question.
Oh, and that's something I want to get back to later. But out of the final four, I'm not sure anybody could have, like, it would have been. It depends so much on like that speech, like how you are able to represent yourself.
Yeah.
Like you can say some shady stuff in that speech and change everybody was going into it wanting to vote for somebody to win, and you walked in and you were like, you know what, I hate every single person in that jury. Which kind of confused me, because at one point, the beginning of the speeches, when Hunter's sitting there and he's like, yeah, I lied and I did this and everything, and if you didn't, that's why you're sitting over there. And I'm like, he just straight up just told us all to go fuck our hats, which is
Right.
like,
No,
Right.
no, it's the truth.
but
no,
yeah,
he told
like
the truth.
yeah, but I mean, everybody too sitting in that jury had lied and everything like that. Could anybody else have beat him? I mean, if Zach would have used the whole entire fact that he had that LOS since the beginning of the game, and it wasn't even necessary for him to use it, because I remember Hunter saying he didn't even get a vote in that final four. Was one of his big things. He's like, I didn't even get voted for there. I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty decent argument. But could you imagine Zach being like, I had an LOS from the beginning of the game, and I still have it, and like nothing, like I never had to
Well, that's
use
because
it. I
he
never got
wasn't a
voted
threat.
for it. I never.
That's because he wasn't a threat, because he just followed everybody. He didn't have a game. He was
True.
just
I mean, I did talk about that there that one time, but then I mean, watching it back, every single episode was Twitter going off. Why didn't they flush his LOS?
Yeah.
And I was just like, and I'm sitting here watching it, and I'm like, why the hell didn't I have no
Yeah.
idea. It's, I mean, everybody's talked about it on the interviews and stuff like that, about how quick this game happens. And that's something you don't really get to see when you watch it over the course of, like, that's the thing, is it's been like 3 months that we've been watching the show like weekly. And that all happened in 5 days. Like we'd get 1 hour of sleep a night about.
oh my God, I would be
believe it.
God.
Oh, it was pure insanity. And that 1 hour of sleep, they're like, yeah, everyone's voted. Everyone's, you've done your confessionals and everything. Now, I hope you guys feel comfortable enough to sleep. And I'm like hell I do. Like, what are you
How much time was allotted for you to actually sleep?
You, like, the first night, they gave us about 2.5 hours. There was, the second one was a bit longer. The very last night that we were there, I remember I was the last person to do my confessionals. I got out at about 7:30 in the morning. We had to be up at 9 to start breakfast and start filming. So it's very short.
Mm-hmm.
Each day was a variation, but it's to keep us all going crazy. And I mean, it worked.
So here's a, oh, go ahead, Allison.
No, go ahead, Deb.
How does playing the live Sequester compare to playing the online for you?
Live Sequester, I liked a lot better. It's just, there's so much more depth to like actual physically talking to somebody, instead of like jumping in and out of rooms with online and being able to chat super quick. Like, you can see how people personally interact with each other. You can see how, I mean, I bring up Erica like washing my clothes or whatever. She wouldn't be able to do that online.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people, you'll see like a lot of connection. Like when you're actually in the house, you'll see
You
people.
feel energy.
Yeah, you feel energy. You see people peeling
Body
each other's
language.
oranges. You see people doing each other's laundry. It's a lot. Yeah, body language for sure. Like people talking, people being like, "Hey, come over here," and you see who people are comfortable with and not comfortable with. And I enjoyed it, I think, a lot more, the live version, just because of that added depth of like physically being there.
Without the live version, though, during the live out, we wouldn't have ever saw you swimming in the pool and people talking about you, and then you just pop up at her. Who was that talking about? Was it Kim or who? I can't even remember.
Yeah,
Who
it was definitely
It was
It was Kim.
And then all of a sudden, here you come. Did you know what was going on? Could you hear anything, or was it just a coincidence?
I didn't hear anything. I just coincidentally like came up, because at first it was like first night we got there, and we were like first night that we'd all met each other, and I was like, oh, there's a pool, awesome, and like jumped in and was swimming around. And I saw people hanging out and chatting, and I was like, hey, Beth.
Hey, Dustyn, how are you doing?
And,
Finally.
You're fine.
No worries. And I saw people chatting and stuff, and I'm like, I wonder what they're chatting about. Oh shit, we're in a game. I totally forgot. And so I just swam over there real quick.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning, I was like, oh, nice, relaxing pool swim. I live in an apartment. I don't have an outdoor pool, an in-ground pool, and I'm like, this is how the rich live. Oh shit, wait, I've got to get over there.
Yeah. I have a question for you, Dustyn. So I feel like last season compared to this season, we saw a lot more LOSs than this season. Do you think there were less hidden, or do you think like people just found less? Like, did you guys like literally just like have no time to look for them this year? What do you think?
I want to say that people I want to say it was just, I don't think that there was less, I think there was the same amount, but I think this year people were more focused on like person-to-person interaction, whereas season 2, you see a lot like where it's like, oh yeah, we're starting, and everybody's just bolting around, picking up cups, looking in their own shoes and shit, looking for LOSs. And it was like, I felt like this season there was a lot more. Once the round had started and we all like would go back into the house, we'd all actually just start chatting with each other. There was not a lot of people just kind of going around looking through the fireplace and stuff like that. Whereas in season 2, it felt like that was a lot more apparent. Like they, especially the round in season 2, where they all had to keep their hand up when they're all in that circle, and it ends up at the very end. It's, who is it? Is it Serena and Colin or whatever? But when they have to stay outside, and everybody that dropped their hand first dropped their hand so they could go run around the house and look for these LOSs.
Yeah, I remember
didn't
that.
happen that often.
Dustyn,
think-
where did you hide your LOS?
It was
Where
in.
was
It was definitely in my boxers.
I think the fact
Really?
that Zach held on to his LOS and didn't use it is probably the reason why we didn't see more LOSs.
I think so too.
Because he didn't utilize it, it didn't get put back into play.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it got lodged in areas that he couldn't retrieve it from.
Yeah, he had it stuck so far up his ass.
Now,
Yeah, when he
So
finally
go ahead.
pulled it out, the paper towel wasn't even there anymore. It was bad. It was.
Woo!
Well, the thing that
so-
Hunter said the other day was that LOSs were also mostly found in battle matches this season versus in seasons past, which I only could
Yeah,
remember
I
off the top of my head a few battle matches that we saw this season, but
The one where Erica grabbed it.
yep,
Ping pong balls. I remember they had it, the
Mhm.
very first one.
Yeah.
with Mary
Um,
Peyton and Drew.
They did have it in again another ping pong ball match when it was Hunter and Kristen Hunter and Kristen were versus each other, and it was, who was it, Ty and Erica?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think we were against each other, and they had it there. And I actually, I never saw one in my battle match, but I do like that they added that aspect.
Me too.
Yeah,
Because-
I did too.
Well, because I can tell you right now too that like behind the scenes kind of style, anytime that there was like LOS that you could win like in a battle, not a lot of people, or if they did, maybe I didn't hear it, but nobody ever talked about it when they came back from a
Yeah.
battle. No one was like,
Interesting.
oh yeah, and there was an opportunity for us to get an LOS, which I thought was really cool, because then
Yeah.
anybody who hadn't been in one of those battles didn't even think that that was a thing.
Yeah, it's
Which made it
interesting
really
how
cool.
that could change the strategy for next season, knowing this could be a thing now. So, Dustyn, say you win your battle match against Jayla. So Jayla's out of the game. You're going to Final Four now. What is your path to victory there? What was your kind of plan of action to get through that Final 4 and 3?
I seriously, at the end of Final 5, like at Final 5 when they revealed votes and it was a unanimous decision, I was like, I am screwed.
Yeah.
There is no chance in hell that I'm even making it to Final 2 here. So, I mean, I think Braden said it best the one round. He used power or chaos. When he talks about, he's like, you got to use power or chaos. And he's like, nobody sees I'm powerful, so create chaos. And he just like went downstairs and started making everybody go crazy.
Mhm.
And I think that's what you got to do, is it's a strong talking game at that Final 4.
Absolutely.
So you you got to do something crazy. I mean, Jake did the whole entire right. They're like, yeah, round starts, and he's like, if I go, I'm taking you.
Yep.
And I'm like, and that's an insane move, but it works. Like if you can cause that much problems, like just right there.
Right.
Yeah. What Brent said in the chat was blackmail Hunter and go, and I actually agree with him. I think that would have been a good.
Too.
I think that's the route. I think saying to Hunter, I think you and I are the two gamers here in this Final Four, and let's have best of the best. And if you vote for me, I'm going to drag you. Who else are we going to vote for? And let's vote
honestly,
together.
I would lead with that last sentence, Beth. I would say like, Hunter, if you vote for me, I'm dragging you. So like, you better vote in your own best interest here. He's the one that's like,
He did play out of fear.
Yeah, he's the most like emotional. Like he might go running around and like screaming like through the rooms again, but at least he would vote with him, and they would both get through the Final Four.
But when you're doing it, make sure you're doing that thing you guys were doing when you had your hands in your shirts and you were doing all that. Oh yeah, make sure you're doing all that next time.
Dustyn,
That's
my question for you.
Oh my God!
the hand clapping.
The hand clapping,
That irked
the
my
sensual
soul.
rubbing of your chest, and something.
I,
Was that strategy?
hand clap in there.
I have never had, like, that's the thing is when you get onto this, like the internet's gonna go after you for whatever.
Yeah.
Like you're opening yourself up to that. I have never had people hate me clapping more in my entire life.
Oh, stop!
It
And that was
irked
the
my
best part is
soul.
watching the very final episode too, and I get voted out, and I pick Jayla to go with me, and I'm watching again, and I'm doing it. I won't make the actual sound for all the people at home who hate
Do
it.
it. Who cares? Do
Don't
it.
do
Yeah,
it. Don't do
you
it.
know what? I'm gonna
Do it.
and you can join like.
Yep.
But
do it.
no, so I do that, and I thought it was hilarious because.
Go ahead, finish your thought, and then
Okay. Yeah. So then I'm doing that, and then it's funny because you hear it, and you can see the comments and everybody being like, "Oh, he's doing the clapping again." And I thought it was funny because then once I leave with Jayla to go do the battle, all the people on the couch start clapping, and I'm like, I don't even know if they were happy about my choice. If they're all just like, "Yeah, get out of here!" Like,
Which one is it?
Yeah.
So Jay West wants to know. Ask Dustyn who he slept with on day one.
What is
Ooh,
Welcome to
still
here.
that tea.
You just said it. It's Jay West.
Oh.
me and Jay West, roomed together, and we roomed together with. There's some behind the scenes stuff here. I don't know if Audrey's gonna get mad about me saying it. Oh, Beth, put that down. But me and Jay West were rooming together, and Tori was in the room as well. And we're like figuring out where we're all gonna sleep. And then all of a sudden, I go downstairs, and as I'm coming back up, Tori's like bringing her bag out of there, and she's like, "Nope." And I'm like, "What the fuck's going on?" And I go upstairs, and they're like, "Oh, she saw a bug run across the floor," and she's like, "Nope, I'm out. I'm done. Game over." She's like, "I'll go
I don't
sleep on
blame
the
her.
floor anywhere. There's a bug."
I would not sleep on a floor anywhere when there's bugs.
Well,
Yeah, really.
My dad is going to be really interesting to watch on Survivor someday.
listen, I've already. Dustyn, would you go on Survivor?
For sure.
Are you going to watch
Definitely.
Survivor 40?
Yeah, for
Who-
sure. Like it's who
Your
am I
winner
going
pick?
for?
Yeah.
Who's your winner pick?
No, I don't, because I gotta go through and remind myself of all the characters and everything like that. Because I mean, there's some people that I see. I feel like it's just so hard to pick when
It's
you're
Tyson
looking at
the
like
Apostle. It's okay. Tyson the Apostle. You can
Tyson
say it.
Everybody seems to feel that way. But that's the thing is, I usually never go for like the crowd pleaser, one that everybody wants.
Well, you can come on over on the Denise Stapley train anytime.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we got a good thing going right here.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch because it adds a different dynamic. Sorry to go off about this real quick, but
no, we're totally here for it.
We're so excited.
It went to the wrap party. Like we were finally done. They finally ended everything. Everything was done. We all went and finally got to like see some of us. We hadn't seen each other in a while. I guess 5 days could be the longest, but we're all hugging and we're chatting with everybody. And then all of a sudden I'm like, what a crazy twist it would be if they're like, okay, round 2, like start. Because now we haven't seen each other's game really. Like, so we haven't seen the other footage, but now we all have kind of more opinions on each other. And that's what I find interesting about this next Survivor season is you've all watched each other's games. You've all seen what's happened and you know how each other act. I can't remember who Jeff was talking about, but I think it was the most recent winner.
Nick Wilson.
Who's on the cast or just in general?
Nick.
Who's going to be on the cast? It was somebody, and Jeff was talking, and he's like, I think he's going to have an extremely hard time because he was so well liked.
Yeah.
And he won just recently, and I'm like, that's a
fresh in
big
everybody's
thing.
minds.
That's a big thing. Is like, yeah, hey, we all just watched him, and everybody loved this guy. So how about we get rid of him first? And I'm like, I could see it happening. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
Well, I loved watching you, Dustyn. When you weren't on the screen, you weren't around, and they didn't show you a lot. We got upset. We were like, "What's going on with Dustyn? Why was he not? What's going on with him? Where was
There
he?"
was leaves in the pool.
He's in the pool,
Cleaning the pool.
Dustyn, we have one last question for you from Jake. Why did you choose to battle Jayla at Final 5?
So Jayla at Final 5, I felt more comfortable going into. I answered this question on Facebook earlier. I felt more comfortable going into the Final 4 with Zach and with Jessica. I would have brought Hunter with me as well instead of Jayla, just because of the pure fact Jayla the whole entire game was just too much of a wild card. Like, at least if and I never really saw Hunter as that super shady during the game, other than like his voting like off the side, but at least something like that you can predict. Some of Jayla's moves, I was like, I have no clue what just happened there.
Sure.
It's terrifying, and I was like, it's too unpredictable. I don't know if I can take that with me.
It like a good unpredictable in the terms of like you would have voted for her at the end, or like a I don't know what she's thinking type of unpredictable.
I don't know what she's thinking type of unpredictable.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it seemed like everybody at the Final 4 all said like, "Hey, you had a really good game, and we all had a really good game, and that's why." And like, gets the next person, then gets to Jayla, and she's like, "I've had an amazing game. This is how freaking awesome I am."
Why can't everybody just be real with their shit? I'm like,
Yeah, why can't we just be real with that shit? I love it.
That was the funniest, is that one round where Jayla stands up and she's like, "Kate, I think we should all just sit here and just stay there, state our case." And I can't remember if it got edited as it happened when we were all sitting there. And she's like, "Yeah," because Jayla stood up and she did her little speech. I'm not going to tell you guys who I'm voting for, but I think we should all tell each other who we're voting for.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Jayla finished and she was like, "All right, next person." I was like, "You realize none of us have to stay for this, right?" And I just got up and left. I was like, we're allowed to go.
This isn't mandatory.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wow.
I'm glad you guys didn't put up with that. Like that made me happy.
Yeah, and we love Jayla and everything.
Jayla's awesome. It's that's something too I want to bring up. It's like, it's so insane how like the thoughts and feelings and like opinions you have on these people while you're playing. And then meeting everybody like in LA when we did the premiere and stuff, it's completely different, 100% different. And I mean, some people were still upset and stuff about stuff that had happened in the house.
Wow.
But it was completely different because now we're not just rushing around being like, "Hey, can I backstab you?" or anything. Like, we were all like actually just friends hanging out, which is completely different than how you feel in the game.
Who are you closest to from your cast? Do you talk to the most?
Probably Cam.
Okay.
Me and Cam were pretty close. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw that one time I went down to Texas or whatever, did like a watch party with her family, and did, like, Peyton came along as well.
Yeah, we had a fun appearance by you in her interview.
Yeah, I came into the background.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of
Yeah. No, Cameron's good. I'm convinced if I were cast on this season, Cameron and I would have just steamrolled the entire house. So that's a good pick.
And then she would have ripped your head off at the very end.
No. I would have.
Yes.
Cameron was
Yes.
awesome, but back to like what I said before. There was a lot of people that I didn't feel very close with at all in the game, and then after chatting with them, like where you're actually talking about, hey, this is what I like and what I don't like. Like these are my thoughts and feelings. You're like, hey, I didn't realize you're really nice. Matt, at the very beginning of the show, he kept on like I'd walk by and see him down a hallway or something, and he'd just look at me and smile. And just looking at me and smiling, I was like, holy shit, like this guy's got something planned. After the show was done, I was like, oh no, he's just a nice guy that likes to smile. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
What a bad opinion I just made of that.
There are people that I've played. I think Deb and I have played online, and Beth has played online. There are people that some hold grudges years later, and that was just the online version. I mean, that was just 5 nights, 10 hours, and there are people that are still pissed, and we never even met in person or anything. And then you have people like Ethan Gnomes from All Stars with me screwed me over big time, and he and I are like this. But you know what? You know what, Dustyn? I would trust him as far as I could throw him if I played with him again. I'd be like, oh, no, sir, nay.
Gotta go.
Don't even come over here with that.
No, he's someone that's an excellent meat shield, but you got to get him out before 7.
He's the original snake.
Well, and something too, like it's something like even to talk to in effect to that is. So when I showed up at the house first, I was sitting in a room, and you kind of have like the production crew kind of coming around. Like I called them handlers because they just like kind of walked you play, like made sure that nobody was. Yeah. And so I'm sitting there, and this is like I was there quite early, and I'm on my phone, and I was just watching season 2, just like brushing up. And as I'm watching season 2, and I'm watching the final 4. And Jake and CJ are like yelling at each other. All of a sudden, I hear a knock on the door, and Audrey was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna like bring some people up to meet." And I pause it, and I'm like looking at it, and she's like, "Hey, this is Jake and CJ." And I was like, "I know, like you guys." I was like, "You guys are right here, backstabbing each other. Like what? Like?" And then I was like, "Is that a thing?" And they're like, "Oh no, like." We're way over that. CJ's like, well, we're kind of over it. He's like, I thought we were totally over it. And CJ's like,
oh god.
Brent
has a question.
Brent says, who holds grudges, Dustyn? Spill it.
I'm getting the fan ready.
Who holds grudges like still out of the show?
Yes.
Who's still mad?
I wouldn't say anyone's like really too
Dustyn, is
it
you? Dustyn, is it you?
No, it's definitely not me. But like with the grudge, it's less people. I felt like less people held grudges, and more. Even still to this day, people live in this land of what if. Like, what if I would have picked this person instead? And I'm like, that was the funny thing is like even right after the show's over, everybody's talking, and they're like, what if this had happened? What if that? And my big thing there is I'm like, but it didn't. So get over it. Like,
see, only you can say that and get away with it. If anyone else had said that, it would have been an issue. But see, go ahead.
Sorry. Continue.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say that you and I are a lot alike in the humor department. I think you and I get away with saying things because it's fun. It's funny. I swear, someone else says it, you're an asshole. But, it's just that charm. You've got that quick wit, that charm. And, it's a gift. It should be shared.
It truly is. Like, even after the show was completely done, we're at the kind of like wrap party and stuff, and everybody's going up to each other. Congratulations. Like, you had a great game. You did too. We're finally get to meet each other and stuff. One of the cast members, I won't say who it is just because I don't know if they want
I'm not going to waste this fan. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for a nice warp here.
You're fanning embers trying to make flames. I get it.
That's right.
But one of the cast members came up to me and was like, "Yeah, you had a great game," and I was like, "Yeah, thanks." And he's like, "One of the best things I saw about it though is you just had fun with it. Like any
Yeah.
time that we were like sitting around and doing stuff, you're just like laughing and making jokes where other people are like sweating and like crying, and you're just like, and I'm like, hey man, like still like I really want to win, but this is all still a game, right? Like we shouldn't be too upset about this.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, we all got the opportunity, and that was one of the things that I was like most happy about, is just getting the opportunity. Audrey having done it, and yeah, Audrey's amazing. She put this all together, and just getting that opportunity to be a part of it is so great. And then some people are like, oh wow, I got this part of it, like I should probably just lose my ever-loving mind on television. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Watch out, we're stealing cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because you're on a show like Sequester or Big Brother or whatever, whatever show, that doesn't mean you have to have a resume moment where you lose your shit. It's okay to be funny and be true, have fun with it. To me, I know it's easy to say, but be in the moment, play the game. Don't stop playing, but also be in the moment. Just go, dude, we're playing Sequester right now. I mean, this is amazing. This is fun. Let's do this.
That's the thing, is people are like looking around and they're like, who do you think who and so is voting for? And I'm like, it's warm in Georgia, hey? Holy. I'm like, and everyone's like, wow, it's so hot. And I'm like, it's snowing. It was when we were there. I mean, I don't know how to translate Celsius to Fahrenheit, but when we were there, it was like, there's some days it was 36 degrees Celsius, and I'm sitting there, and I remember one day where we were like, yeah, it's hot, and I was like, somebody check their phone right now, it's snowing in Calgary. It's snowing. I literally don't know if we can land the plane because there's so much snow right now. It snowed, I think, 3 feet like the day before I had to go back.
Wow. That is amazing.
This is a big side note, but just because you brought up Calgary, I flew from Ottawa. I'm an hour and 15 minutes south of Ottawa. So I fly out of Canada all the time. I flew from Ottawa to Calgary to San Francisco a couple months ago. And the security in Calgary was a little much. They made me pick up my hair tie. They made me, they moved all of our stuff.
I had an idol in there.
I sat back and I was like, what kind
Did they glove up?
Just about. It was the most incredible security I've ever been through. And I was like, I travel a lot for work. but it was pretty to actually see Calgary and fly over the Canadian Rockies and all that kind of stuff.
So you went Ottawa to Calgary to where?
San Francisco.
San Francisco?
I was trying to make my way to
San Francisco?
I'm sorry?
Did your plane make it to San Francisco?
We did. Yeah, we made it to
You're welcome. It's because we did that security. We had that security. Their security is a little much, and it's just because sometimes they're just like, I don't know, bored. I mean, there's other times I've walked up and there's nobody there, and the guy's like sitting on the conveyor belt. He's like, do you have a laptop in that bag? And I'm like, no. He's like, I'm not even going to check. Like,
well, it's always kind of funny. Like when I cross the border into Canada, they'll be like, are you, do you have a gun on you? And I'm like, no. And they're like, all right, have a fun time in Canada. And then I come back to the United States, where I'm a citizen. They're like, what's the value of your home?
Okay, so hold on a minute. You go to a Canadian airport and they politely ask you if you have a firearm. And you go to the United States and they're like, bend over, I'm gloving up, you got one in your ass. I know it.
There's two things they politely ask you at the Canadian border getting into Canada. Do you have a gun or a firearm on you?
No.
Do you have potatoes? Literally, those are the two things. And I don't know, I think there must be some kind of agricultural thing with potatoes, but I think it's so funny. Every time.
As they open up her gun locker and find a bunch of potatoes. Ma'am, we're going to have to ask you to come out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not fun. One time they threw out my orange that I had packed for breakfast, and they were like, you can't bring this produce across the border. And I was like,
well, you didn't have Jayla to peel it for you, so you can't eat it anyway.
That's right. She wasn't peeling my oranges. So.
What if you were carrying like French fries? Does that count?
I don't know. I'm not going to try
potatoes into Canada.
It was ridiculous. I think there must have been some kind of like infection of it.
It's not the carnivorous virus. Nobody's going to die from it.
Carnivorous?
Whatever it's called.
Corona?
The Cornelius? The Corona? What?
Corona, like the beer Corona.
Coronavirus? Like the beer?
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of guys that get the coronavirus daily.
Oh my God.
The carnivorous virus is really affecting a lot of people there, Allison.
Oh,
The,
God.
the carnivorous virus, the one like pine needle trees.
I was just gonna say, what is this
Really
like
bad.
spread by trees now?
Gives you a booty rash and stuff, and I don't know. It's just awkward. Sorry, I'm not good with stuff like that. I always screw it up. You know. Well, I think Dustyn, we really enjoyed you on the show. Now, before we end, which season cycle did you play online?
Season 4,
Well,
maybe.
and how far did
Even
you
he
make
can't
it?
remember.
I was the second person out.
Oh, you were?
Oh.
Okay. Well, gosh, and look how far you made it on
The
the
one thing I do remember is an interview after the season. I do remember you with some girl, and like she was like scantily clad, laying in bed, and you were, I don't know, were you
Get my
like
fan moment.
spread off of her ass or something like that? What was happening there? I forget.
Nope. No.
I'm talking anyway.
Time to
It
change
was
the
a
subject.
All right. Yeah. No. It was a thing where we came back to be jury, and I came back on for jury, and like I was just tree licking drunk, and I was just like like hanging out, and and I didn't even make a lick of sense, and everything like with my questions, I was like compliment me, like they were like, you get 2 questions, and I was like, both of you compliment me. It was such a bad like cocky thing, and I just remember hopping on too, and like the camera came on, and I'm like laying there in like a zebra kimono and stuff, and it just went bad. It was just terrible. It was just a terrible time. It was a terrible. Yeah, you guys can all find it in the archives. It does not paint me a good picture. And like
You hit rock
some
bottom
girl
at a
on-
certain point. I made it the last time in All Stars, I made it final 5. And when I had to come back that Sunday night and do the jury questions, I was still crying about it. Like I was still upset. Like it had only been like 2 days and I was still struggling, but it's okay. Cause my parents took me to Cheesecake Factory and that makes everything okay. S'mores cheesecake, extra white fluff. So good.
All right.
We shortened it to whipped cream, but yeah, I get what
one last question. Cameron wants to know, let us know the question you wanted to ask the jury.
Oh, okay. So, holy crap, Cam! Thanks for that. So they're going through the questions and everything, and I'm like watching how it's going, and I kind of had made up my mind by the time it got to me, because I was, I think, third last to ask a question.
Yeah.
And so like everyone was asking great questions and watching people's answers, and I didn't really have anything yet.
Yeah.
So I went up and was going to ask them what the difference between mayonnaise and Miracle Whip was, and what their preference on the 2 was.
Oh,
and I was like, I'm gonna do it, and Cam's like, no. I was like, you look like an idiot. You already did that stupid debate round where you look like an idiot. Don't do that. But then the question that I did get, I think I even got from Cameron, which I thoroughly enjoyed, which is like, what's on the tapes? Like what haven't we seen? So what are people going to see that we haven't?
What's on the tapes?
I'm glad you said that, because Miracle Whip is trash.
What's in the box? Yeah.
Miracle Whip's trash? I'm sorry. I'm just
Miracle
trying to
Whip
figure
is
out how I
trash.
get rid of Deb.
Listen, Miracle Whip is like a salad dressing, and
Nasty.
mayonnaise is just mayonnaise you put on a sandwich.
Both
was a
are
long-running
creations
show.
by the devil. Let's be 100% honest. They're both
Mayonnaise
gross.
is amazing mixed
They're
with
both gross.
ketchup. I call it fry sauce.
Anyway.
We're drifting.
No. I mean, that always happens with the interviews and stuff like that. And I don't even know how sometimes the podcasts even stay on topic for as long as they do.
Oh, we don't.
Oh, honey, this is only on topic because Tyler's here. If Tyler had been here,
That's here.
we would have been asking you if you have waxed your balls lately. I mean, we go.
Yeah, which
Yes,
we don't need to know
manscaping.
about.
You
Yes, we
manscape.
do. We need to know about manscaping. Please tell
No.
me.
Manscaped.
A behind the scenes question. I don't know if you're allowed to answer this,
Manscaped?
but do they pre-screen the questions that you ask the jury? Like, is production saying like you can't ask this or this question?
No.
So you can
No.
ask whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like that's the thing is I changed like my question about that like changed like last minute like as I was like walking up to ask.
Yeah.
And that's actually a question I've got from a lot of people, like a lot of friends and stuff that I watch live. Is they're like, so how much is it actually scripted?
Yeah.
And none. There's absolutely, and because people like to think like, yeah, so then did they tell you to do that? And they're like, no, we're just that stupid.
Oh, I
and
wish
that crazy
somebody had told you to clean the pool. All right, now we just want you to, pick up leaves in the pool.
Well, I'm like looking around. I'm like, I don't want to swim in a dirty pool like does anybody else. And even to iterate on that, Braden was cleaning the pool as well. They just didn't focus on it as much. So maybe it's a Canada thing. I don't know.
It's only funny when you do it, Dustyn. We don't want to. I love Braden, but I don't want to see him cleaning a pool. I want to see you cleaning a pool.
Wait, what's wrong with Braden?
It's just, it would be boring. Dustyn would make it fun. It would be like a thing. It would be entertaining.
Oh,
I think you should get
Braden.
I love Braden. Don't get me started.
Braden was another one of those people that I didn't feel that strongly about, like in the game. But then once the game was over, we were chatting and stuff. I was like, "Fuck, Braden's awesome! Like Braden's a cool guy."
He's so fun. He's so adorable.
He is. He's a cutie.
He is. And Dustyn, you're a cutie too. You cut all your hair off.
Yeah, I did.
You've been styling and profiling on Instagram. You're like a model now.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, this does deserve an answer.
Oh.
Yeah, what do I model? Gloves?
Can I hold your LOS? What do
That-
I model? What?
Is holding your LOS like second base in Sequester?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted
With
to make sure.
yourself.
Well, considering where people put the LOS, holding the LOS can be very intimate.
Mhm.
Well,
I would
and-
have that thing in my ass cheeks running down the hall after somebody. Y'all need to slow down. I can't. I got to waddle everywhere. Don't ask questions. Don't
Well, I
ask me
remember
why.
I remember putting it in my boxes and then going into the bathroom and like turning the lights off and be like, "Can I see it? Like, is it there? Is it?" Like, and I'm like legit though. You're in the dark and you're like, "Do you think anyone can tell that my ass is on fire?" Like, but no, I guess not.
Oh, that's great. It's the best thing I've heard tonight.
You got your jersey was long enough. It probably covered it up. Maybe.
It does, but again you'll like. You'll be like running, and you start to feel a slip, and you'll be running, and then you go to a slow saunter real quick, and everyone's like, "Wow,
Yep.
that guy really shifted gears. Like, what the hell happened there?"
An accident?
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, I don't know if there's like any other like it was so fun, and sometimes like especially when I find out people have watched it, I'll go and like hang out with them. We like chat for a long time. I mean, Jesse moved to Calgary. He lives like a block away from me now.
Oh yeah.
Jesse from season 2.
He's done a really good job podcasting this season.
Yeah, I was
him.
really impressed with their podcast.
Yeah.
The
What
podcast?
couldn't we do with it? Like it was just insightful. I mean, it told
Well,
you everything.
I don't think they like the name suggestions. Like, I had one, who gives a fuck. They didn't like that one.
What was the one that
Bitch move?
That's pretty good.
Bitch
They were gonna name it something else and then I thought it was awesome. Somebody suggested 2 names that were really going off, and they said that they should name the show the one thing, but then every week they should have the bitch move of the week. Which I really liked, like cover like what they thought was like the big crap move that week.
Mm.
And I like the thought of that, but I mean,
Well, we had a lot of contenders for that this season, I'll say.
oh
Yeah.
There was-
Absolutely.
that's something too, watching it back, that I like want everybody at home to know is like when you're watching it back, there's so much stuff happening that you never ever saw. And you're watching it back and you're just like, oh my gosh, like what is even happening here? Like why like these people talking in certain places and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we
Can't be in every room.
we as the viewer get a whole perspective on like everybody in the game, where like Dustyn only knows the conversations that Dustyn is in. So you only know like a piece of that puzzle. It's so hard so we can like kick back and everybody else can judge everybody else on their bad moves and everything. But we know everything, and they only know like a piece of the puzzle. So
And also, we just watched a 5-day game stretched out 11 weeks.
yeah.
So a lot of people don't seem to understand. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand who are new to Sequester. They don't understand that this was 5 days.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people bitching about it. Well, I don't understand what. Well, you can't make a decision like you would in Big Brother. Like you can't make that. You don't have that time. Like you're nominated, and then you have 5 days to save yourself and do whatever you need to do. Sequester, you're nominated. You got a split second to pick someone for the battle, and then it's so quick. Yeah. So
and even just to reiterate on like something I even just said. So when I got back and I went and talked to Jesse, like when I got back to Calgary and stuff, he had just moved there or whatever, and we talk. And my big thing was I was like, so you've done Big Brother, you've done Sequester, like what's the differences? Like, tell me all about that, like, and everything. And he was talking, and I mean, I don't know if I'll get him in trouble or anything, but he was like, I loved playing Sequester because when you're playing Big Brother and you have a week, you can't make any of those big moves that you're allowed to in Sequester, because he's like, you can't play a hard game. Like, right. He's like, in Big Brother, like something would happen and you're there for a week. So everyone's just kind of like walking around, nodding to each other and just like making sandwiches and like backing out of rooms slowly, and like they're like, you can't like actually run up to people and be like, hey, you need to vote for this person, like don't do this or do that. And he's like you got to play a very slow burn. And he's like, that's what I loved about Sequester, is being able to just play aggressively if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's totally fair. And I know Brent and I have gone back and forth this season about me being harsh on Braden's move to do the house meeting and everything. And like you just said, like Sequester really complements like a bigger, more out front, like obviously we saw it with Hunter winning the season. I think that's
I said this before on Twitter, I'll say it again here. I think that Sequester, because it's so fast, has a larger margin for error than a game that, and also just because like you really don't even know people even after spending 5 days in a game with them. Like you spend 39 days on an island with somebody, you kind of know what's up. If you spend 100 days in a house with somebody in Big Brother, you definitely know them, but you spend 5 days in a house, you still really don't know them. And like you've already pointed to that today. So when you have a much larger margin for error, it makes the game so much more difficult to make sure that you're doing the right move, quote unquote.
Oh, and to like make an error in the 5 days when it's like that quick, and then to watch you slowly make those errors over 2.5-3 months. It's like,
yeah,
it's like the pizza guy being like, hey, yeah, enjoy your meal, and you be like, you too, and then you have to watch that on repeat for 3 months. you're sitting there and you're like, oh no.
You're like, not only do I relive that in my head every night before I go to sleep, now I have actual video evidence of it.
Yeah, so funny.
Well, Dustyn, speaking of 5, we've got 5 people in this chat. Who out of this final 5 of my weekly meltdown, Dustyn, who are you taking to the final 2 with you in this group?
That's a hard question. So this is all going to be after like personal opinion, because I didn't see any of you guys playing. Like I'm like,
that's all this show is personal opinion.
Yeah, we just hold grudges and we're very salty, but we love Jesse. So
yes.
Jesse, we love you. Don't get upset with us. We don't
beautiful.
like Hamza, but we're okay with Jesse.
Yes, that is correct.
Who would I take to the final 2?
Yeah.
Remember, it's hot, and I have a fan, so I could fan you, cool you down a little bit.
If you want a challenge, it's right here.
Oldest one here, so you can, feel
I'm not gonna lie, I would probably take Allison, just because when she has an opinion, she makes it quite loud. So I think there's more error for her to fuck that up.
You know what? I think that is the correct answer. Thank you very much, Dustyn.
Yes.
I think
Thank you, Dustyn.
I think Allison would walk in there and just be like, "Hey, to start, you all were supposed to dress up here, and you look like shit." And I'd be like, "Yeah, I mean, on my opinion, you guys all look great."
Yeah.
Conversation over, and I'd go just sit down and be like, "Yeah, Allison, just."
Look, there you go. You know, he's
But that's
not
why-
lying.
That's why. But I'm not lying. That's why it makes a great podcast. That's why people tune in and watch it. Because I mean, if people didn't have opinions and like shot from every there's like my uncle's a philosopher, and it's probably one of the most annoying people to talk to because he'll be like, "Hey, this is my point of view," and you're like, "Yeah, I agree with it." And he's like, "Well, this is why my point of view is wrong," and I'm like, "You gotta stick to his side." Or something
Yeah,
I was
Uncle
like-
Charlie's like that, but he's not a philosopher.
I was like, "You're
I
not."
thought you
bi-
said full officer, and I was like, I don't like as opposed to a part-time officer, and then full
Yeah.
officer. Gotcha.
Philosopher.
Yeah, are you a cop? Oh, only part time. I just do this for extra money.
Yes, I
Oh,
just do it for fun. You
Before
know,
we go, Brent's got a question for us. Are any of you guys from My Weekly Meltdown going to audition Meltdown? Oh Lord, I'd be out first. There's no way. Get this little loudmouth troll, all 4'11", out of here. Get the garden gnome back in the garden. We don't need it.
There's not
Well-
enough time for me to sleep. I won't
That's
be able to
true.
nap every
Debbie
day.
has
that's not
very
true. You
rigorous
said,
nap.
Jayla.
Now,
You said
do-
I nap every day.
Yeah, he was fine.
Well, I'll answer this. Well, Brent put me on blast earlier this season saying that I wasn't aggressive enough. I wasn't loud enough to be cast on Sequester. So I will definitely be auditioning again. And I will just say, like in the words of Sandra Diaz-Twine, I can get loud too. What the fuck? So hopefully
Brent?
you'll see me on Sequester. Also, this is a good time to remind people to sign up for Sequester's Patreon account. If you do that, you automatically get to semifinals and are promised a one-on-one interview with Audrey or the Sequester team.
Yes.
So shout out for that.
Brent,
for me-
Brent put you on blast.
He did, and he's
Brent
just
put
jealous because
anybody
I would
on
definitely make it
blast?
farther
That's
than him on
crazy.
Sequester. So
I can't believe Brent put you on blast. That's
I know,
Did
right?
anyone ever put Tyler on blast? Do you
Right,
think he
no.
was a little rat or something?
Well, Brent said enough crap about me over this season. I watched all the raps Brent said, and I think the only person Brent should be putting on blast is probably his hairdresser. But I mean,
Oh,
there you
my
go.
God.
I get a full 4 months of shade, and I get that 1 minute there,
You
Brent.
know what? It was
Do what
well
you
worth
will.
it.
Do what you will.
He's laughing. He loves it like here. Yeah. But
Well,
you know,
I love you,
there-
Brent. I love you,
terms
Brent.
of,
Like no, with Brent, with people getting shade and stuff from the internet. I mean, you got to fully expect that. You got to know that that's coming.
Yeah.
And Brent not liking you or liking you. Anybody on the internet, like Twitter's a vicious place.
Mhm.
People not liking you and liking you. And the big thing is randomly, especially like people would be like, "Oh my God, guess who said what about who on Twitter?" And I'm like, someone I will never meet ever in my entire life is now
Mhm.
on the internet making opinions about me. A,
Accurate.
thank you. B, there's bigger problems in my life. I don't know where my wallet or my keys are. Ask them if they know that. Because I'm like, that's the thing is people on the internet don't like you. And I'm like, well, I'm late for work. Like there's bigger problems going on right now. Like, I'm like,
And I'm on Twitter. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm all about the self-deprecating humor. Listen, if you're going to insult me and be rude and nasty, at least be original and tell me something I've never heard before. I've been called a bitch. I've been called a cunt. I've been called just be extra special and creative about it. Call me something that really takes reach
See, now
into
I'm
that
thinking.
verbal arsenal and put some effort into it.
well,
Respect
like I told some of the cast too, is so at the very beginning, there's a big thing like Kim said that I smelled and that I was greasy, and everyone was making fun of me cleaning leaves in the tub. So what do you do? You should steer into it. Immediately I make that video of me in the tub cleaning myself, say that I don't stink, and then finding
Yeah.
leaves in my tub. And I'm like, that's the best way to deal with it. Because if you
Yeah.
act upset, then they're like, oh, this is ammo for that. Like,
Absolutely.
so steer into it. People are allowed to have opinions. That's what's awesome about it. Like everybody, if I liked everybody that I met, I would probably go out more.
In the words of RuPaul, well, maybe RuPaul's mom, if them bitches ain't paying them bills, them bitches, you pay them no mind.
Ooh, I like that. I need that because I had a freaking nervous breakdown a few months ago. Shocker. Because some guy and it's funny because I let a lot of stuff go, but this guy was commenting on our Survivor podcast and told me I needed to lay off the lip injections. Did I not lose my mind over that? I was in a group chat with them going, look at this shit. I don't have lip injections.
I just said, just post baby pictures of your big fat lips.
I was born with this big mouth.
I know, I almost had a prayer.
I could put my fist in my mouth.
Yeah, I said just post those little baby pics and say this is the first time Allison got her lip injections at the age of 2.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Fuck off. Anyway, that just brings us to the end. I think that's a good way to get out.
Probably a good call.
Also has lip injections. Anyway, Dustyn, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. We love you. We've been looking forward to interviewing you for a really long time.
Yeah.
If people want to find you and stalk you and be really cruel to you on social media, where can they find you?
Twitter, I think it's at Dustyn Schroeder. Instagram, it's dustyn.the.wins. Other than that, I mean, you can add me on Facebook. I really just accept it all. You can hop into my life and notice how I've made bad decisions the whole entire time, not even just those 5 days. Like, if you really want to check it out. People are like, wow, that was a really bad decision in like 2010 when you thought that it'd be cool to wear Heelys. And I'm like, yeah, it was. It was not a good decision.
At least you own your shit.
I used to see kids in the mall in Heelys and I just wanted to trip them. You don't even know. I worked anyway, this isn't about me. It should be, but it's not. So that about wraps it up. You can find Tyler in his little box at and all that. You can find Deb there and you can find Augusta Wynn there. And me, I'm like Dustyn. I just put my name in the box. Because follow us, subscribe to us on YouTube, My Weekly Meltdown. You get a notification when we go live. We're about to start covering Survivor 40. I'm hoping that we get to interview Zach here soon in a couple of days, maybe next week, the latest. And follow us on Instagram. I'm trying to build our little Instagram, My Weekly Meltdown. I'm going to post. I've waited to post pictures from our winners interview because I didn't want to spoil anything, but I'm going to go ahead and post those along with pictures from this interview. I think it's fine now. Yeah, I think it's fine now. My Weekly Meltdown on Instagram. And tell us about the podcast version of the show, Tyler.
Yeah, so I'm still waiting for approval from Apple, but starting with Survivor 40, hopefully, like with the first episode, we will now officially be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We're just working on like the back end of all of that stuff. So if it's not there the first or second week, blame Apple and how long they take, not me, because I've been on it. I've really wanted to make sure that we are up and ready for the best season of Survivor. So
Oh, and follow my cat Finley on Instagram, Finley's Insti, FINLEYS_INSTI. I keep forgetting to throw him a shout out.
Very important.
Follow my cat, Dustyn. Please.
I will follow your cat on Instagram.
Follow my kitty. And Tyler, do you have anything to add to the show? Anything? You want to talk about anything? Is there anything?
Somebody addressed it in the chat. I think this pretty much sums it up. How about not calling anyone anything, trash their game moves? Twitter taught me that mean people have a lot of time on their hands. Just be nice to people in general on Twitter is all I will say.
Oh, but I don't like that. I'm just kidding.
But, however, I will say, okay, how about not calling anyone anything, trash their game moves, etc. That is like literally what we do is trash people's games, but we try to not be like super personal and
never get
call
personal.
people like too bad of names or anything. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Just be nice, everybody. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay.
And if
Well,
anybody needs a wedding photographer, go to scratchstudios.co.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're in the north, up north somewhere, because he's not coming down to the south for anything.
No.
Oh, they'll
Okay.
come down. Yeah, you will.
Well, if the price is right, but
Dustyn, any final words? You leave us
No,
with
it
any
was
words of wisdom?
the show was amazing. Definitely, yeah. Tune into their coverage of Survivor 40. Like it's going to be a blast. You know that for a fact. Make sure you guys apply for season 4 of Sequester. I mean, you never know. I didn't when I applied, so just do it. Yeah, everyone's always going to hum and haw and twiddle their thumbs and maybe not get around to it. Just do it. See what happens. You might be surprised.
Yeah.
Love you guys all to death. Love all the haters. Love all the people that are fans. Like, love everyone.
We love you,
Thank
Dustyn.
We love you, Dustyn. All right, guys, that wraps it up for us this evening. Again, thank you, Dustyn. And subscribe and follow, as we said before. And with that being said, we'll see you guys later. Thank you.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.